Meri Brown had spent years living in silence. A silence that wasn't just a choice but a necessity. The weight of public shame, betrayal, and a crumbling marriage had driven her into this quietude. Over the years she watched her loving husband, Kody, drift further away from their family. He had built a wall around himself with Robyn standing guard, keeping the family at arm's length. At first, Meri tried to understand Kody's story. He was a man overwhelmed by pressures, trying to protect a large, fragile family. But as time passed, the truth became clearer and the veil was lifted. Meri had long suspected there were financial irregularities in the family's filming contracts. However, what she uncovered was far worse than she could have imagined. While sifting through old agreements, emails, and royalty accounts, her intentions were simple. She just needed to know. What she discovered was shocking. Robyn's children, Ariella, Solomon, and others, were operating under contracts that were disheartening. Unlike the other kids who had only minor, inconsequential appearances on the show, Robyn's children were given real storylines, emotional moments, and even segments crafted just for them. But it didn't stop there. These carefully crafted moments weren't just for show, they were designed for profit. Every breakdown, every heartfelt conversation that one of Robyn's kids had translated directly into a boost in Kody's share of the profits and an increase in the show's ratings. Kody had turned his children's genuine emotions and vulnerabilities into a source of income for himself. Detect AI-generated content and transform it into something that feels more human with our AI content detector. Just paste your text and you'll get accurate, relatable results in no time. Here's the text we're diving into. Solomon's fears served as cautionary tales about the dangers of polygamy. Ariella's tears became part of a tangled family drama, all unfolding without Robyn's knowledge. She had placed her complete trust in Kody, and now Meri was about to show her the documents that shattered that trust. As Robyn flipped through page after page of production charts that revealed how her children were treated like mere props on a set, her hands trembled. It was hard to wrap her head around it. Her kids had been mere pawns in Kody's game, all to keep up his public persona. This felt worse than just betrayal. It was outright manipulation. The storm brewing inside Robyn was intense. She remembered all those moments when Kody had encouraged her to be authentic on camera, to let her feelings show. But now it was clear that Solomon, with tears streaming down his cheeks, must have been wondering why he was being made to cry again. Ariella, too, was off-screen, caught in an emotional snare she couldn't quite grasp. It was as if a curtain had been pulled back, revealing the truth. Everything clicked into place. Within a week, Robyn sought legal help from Lisa Morgan, known for her straightforward approach to high-profile reality TV scandals. Lisa took on the case without hesitation, her reputation for standing up against exploitation and manipulation well established. She didn't just see a lawsuit, she saw a fight against something much bigger. What she uncovered were clear signs of financial fraud, emotional distress, violations of child labor laws, and most shockingly, child exploitation. It wasn't long before the lawsuit was filed. Robyn Brown versus Kody Brown for financial fraud and emotional distress. The issue of child labor violations and exploitation is distressing. Kody's response? Typical deflection and denial. He took to Instagram Live, hurling insults and falsehoods in a desperate attempt to save face. Meanwhile, Meri spoke with a calm voice, but her words sent shockwaves through the online community. Her raw and unfiltered confession rocked social media. The comments flooded in, both praising and criticizing her. Former crew members who had kept quiet for years began to anonymously support Meri's claims. Old footage resurfaced and went viral. To her fans, Meri transformed from the bitter ex-wife into a hero, a woman who found her voice and was no longer afraid to speak out. The public's view of Robyn also began to shift. Once seen as a manipulative figure, she was now viewed as a mother trapped in a chaotic situation. Just days later, Janelle, who had distanced herself from Kody for years, released her own statement. It was measured yet powerful. Even though I had already ended things with him, she said, I noticed some questionable filming practices involving Robyn's kids. Meanwhile, Christine from Utah quietly agreed during an exclusive interview, stating, I sensed something was off. But we weren't allowed to question him. Silence was the rule. Loyalty meant keeping quiet. As the court date approached, tensions rose. In the background, TLC scrambled to manage the fallout. Executives went into crisis mode trying to distance the network from Kody. They initiated internal reviews, paused filming, and issued strict orders that Kody would not appear on screen. Detect AI-generated content and transform it into something that feels more human with our AI content detector. Just paste your text and receive accurate, relatable results in seconds. Here's the text to analyze. As the promotional materials rolled out, Kody found himself left out of any discussions about potential spin-offs. He was on the verge of losing everything: his empire, his influence, and his connections. The courtroom was packed on the first day of the trial, buzzing with reporters, spectators, and even former crew members eager to hear Robyn's testimony. She spoke with poise, but the tremor in her voice revealed the weight of her experiences. Meri sat quietly in the back, hands clasped, her expression unreadable. Yet there was an undeniable strength radiating from her. She was no longer just an observer. She had become a force to be reckoned with. Then came the shocking moment, the footage. It was a raw, never-before-seen clip of Kody chatting with a producer off-camera. The room fell into a hush, gasps rippling through the crowd as the video played, revealing a side of Kody that no one had seen before. His lawyers scrambled to dismiss the video as mere editing tricks, but the damage was already done. The truth had emerged and everyone in the room could feel it. By the end of the hearing, it was clear that Robyn's claims held weight. But the story didn't end there. A criminal investigation had already been launched by the state's child labor office, and the pressure was mounting on Kody. Just a few days later, TLC made a bold move, publicly announcing that they were cutting ties with Kody Brown. The network that had built its brand around his family was now distancing itself from them. But the women weren't done fighting, not by a long shot. Meri, Robyn, Janelle, and later Christine had a new plan up their sleeves. They signed a fresh production deal with a competing streaming service, ready to share their own story on their own terms. The real story, the one that had been lurking in the shadows thanks to Kody's inflated ego, is finally coming to light. It's a tale that no one had ever heard until now. The new documentary series, Brown Women Rising, made it clear from the very first teaser that viewers were about to witness a narrative like no other. It aimed to reclaim the story that had been twisted and controlled. "She's been manipulating everything," he fumed. "Meri's the one to blame for all this. I didn't do anything wrong. This family only has a future because of me." But behind closed doors, Kody's lawyers were left speechless, their faces pale with shock. The evidence against him was damning. His emails to the producers, casual comments caught on camera, and most alarmingly, unfiltered footage of him pressuring the kids into emotional breakdowns painted a picture that couldn't be overlooked. Then, as if stepping out from the shadows, Meri found her voice. Years of bottled-up anger and tears surged forth, and she wasn't holding back. Sitting in front of a crackling fireplace at her cozy bed and breakfast, Meri went live on her own platform. Her eyes burned with a mix of grief and resolve as she spoke with a clarity that made the truth undeniable. The women were no longer just side characters in this saga. They were the main event. For the first time in over a decade, it was their story to share. Brown Women Rising wasn't just a title. It symbolized their reclaiming of power as the police investigation tightened around Kody Brown. And that's just the beginning. The sister wives might be heading in a whole new direction, thanks to Meri Brown's bold decision to gradually distance herself from the family that had overshadowed her life for so long. Meri, Kody's first wife, had finally taken a stand. Meri formally divorced him so he could marry Robyn. However, despite the official separation, she remained a constant presence in the family for years. Over time, though, she began to distance herself, yearning for peace away from the negativity that had overshadowed her life for so long. Even after the high-profile split, Meri continued to be a familiar face in the public eye. But the heartbreaking loss of her son Garrison was about to hit her even harder, especially with season 19 on the horizon. The departure of Meri, Janelle, and Christine from the family dynamic changed the tone of sister wives forever. Meri often seemed to carry a hint of sadness, not just from the tragedy of losing Garrison but also from her tumultuous relationship with Kody. They were never truly compatible, and their polygamous lifestyle only deepened the divide between them. Kody's insistence on keeping the family together weighed heavily on their relationship. Things took a turn for the worse when Meri fell victim to a catfish scheme, leaving her feeling exposed and isolated, which ultimately broke her spirit. The emotional fallout took a toll on her mental and physical health in profound ways. But now there's a glimmer of hope. Meri is on a path to recovery, making gradual but steady progress. She's been navigating significant life changes and sharing her journey with her Instagram followers. Despite the constraints of her sister wives' contract, Meri has chosen to pursue emotional integrity. She's been open about her healing process, offering insights into her personal growth. Recently, she admitted to feeling uncomfortable for quite some time, hinting that there might be more to her story. It seems like Meri is finally facing some of her challenges head-on. Her recent messages hint at rising tensions within the sister wives family. While she's careful not to name names or dive into specifics, it's clear that Meri is making space for healing while still connecting with her fans. By being open about her emotional journey, she's giving her followers a chance to see her as she truly is. A complex woman on a path of self-discovery. Interestingly, while Janelle Brown has publicly supported the changes Meri is going through, Meri hasn't commented on Kody's recent decision regarding the Coyote Pass property. Both women had previously expressed concerns about the original land plan and the idea of selling parts of the property. However, Kody's new arrangement seems to be moving towards a more equitable distribution of ownership. This could be a pivotal moment in the Brown family saga. For Meri, it marks a significant step in her journey to separate herself both legally and emotionally from Kody and Robyn. By redefining her boundaries and easing tensions, she's carving out space for herself and taking more control over her share of the land. This decision feels like a turning point not just in a practical sense but also emotionally. It symbolizes her break from the past and the beginning of a new chapter in her life. There are whispers on Reddit suggesting that Meri and Janelle may have quietly sold the Coyote Pass property. A Reddit user shared a screenshot and another user, SunnyJulie999, pointed out something interesting on Zillow. It seems that while the property wasn't listed for sale, it did sell on April 14th, hinting that the deal might have gone down off the market. Now that the sale is finalized, Meri is finally ready to move on with her life. She's starting fresh in Utah, a place where she can rebuild and redefine her future, free from the weight of her past marriage. For Meri, this low-key, behind-the-scenes transaction is more than just a property deal. It represents the closing of one chapter and the exciting opening of another. It's about carving her own path, independent of her former sister wives and Kody. In this new phase, Meri is already making changes, both physically and emotionally. She's shedding pounds as part of her journey toward personal goals. Recently, she confidently showcased her transformation at the Global Beauty Awards, rocking a black bodycon dress that beautifully accentuated her curves. It's clear she's embracing change and stepping into a stronger, more self-assured version of herself. To celebrate her new beginning, Meri has also welcomed a cat named Zona into her life. This little companion has been a source of comfort and inspiration for her as she navigates through grief and focuses on self-improvement. It's not just about moving on, it's about finding joy in the small things while she heals. Meanwhile, Kody's relationships with his older children have become increasingly strained. Having been married 4 times and fathering 18 kids over the years, he's found it challenging to maintain those connections. As his children grew up, many felt neglected as there simply wasn't enough of him to go around. What once was a close-knit, loving family dynamic has shifted dramatically. When Sister Wives first premiered in 2010, the Browns were portrayed as a happy, harmonious family, but things have certainly changed since then. There was definitely more going on behind the scenes than what we could see. By the time Sister Wives season 19 rolled around, 3 of Kody's 4 wives had already left, and the tension within the family was almost tangible. The big question now is, who does Kody still have a relationship with and who has truly walked away for good? The introduction of Robyn Brown, Kody's 4th and youngest wife, marked a significant turning point. Her arrival, along with Kody's shift towards a monogamous marriage, completely altered the dynamics of the Brown family. As if the tensions weren't already high, Kody's relationships with his older children started to deteriorate, leading to many of them no longer even speaking to him. The cracks in their once close family began to widen, and no one felt the impact more than Kody's own kids. Take Madison or Maddie Brush, for example. At just 29, Maddie, the daughter of Kody and his second wife Janelle, has had her fair share of personal achievements, but it hasn't been easy. Maddie first appeared on Sister Wives back in 2010, but by 2015 she was off to college. Unfortunately, that journey didn't go as smoothly as she had hoped. Shortly after, she got engaged to Caleb Brush, a 34-year-old mining equipment technician. Caleb made several appearances on Sister Wives, and the couple eventually tied the knot in Bozeman, Montana in 2016. They now have 2 children together, and despite their polygamous background, Maddie and Caleb have made it clear that they have no desire to continue that lifestyle. However, Sister Wives Season 19 reveals a shocking reality. Maddie and Kody no longer communicate with each other. Kody doesn't see his daughter anymore. Kody can only see his grandchildren if Maddie personally invites him, and even then, it's only if he's around regularly. The rift between him and his daughter has become unbearable. As far as anyone knows, Maddie doesn't want Kody to be a part of her kids' lives. Kody, on the other hand, regrets how things turned out but holds on to the hope that Maddie might reach out to him someday. Unfortunately, neither of them seems ready to take that first step toward forgiveness. They're stuck in a standoff and the tension is palpable. But the issues don't stop with Maddie. Kody's relationship with his third wife, Christine, and their son, Peyton, is just as complicated. Now 26, Peyton has spent most of his life in the spotlight, having been just 11 when Sister Wives first aired in 2010. Like many of Kody's kids, Peyton has struggled to connect with his father. With 6 children between Kody and Christine, there were plenty of clashes between Peyton and his dad. Over time, their conflicts seemed to escalate, especially since their similarities often fueled their disagreements. One major source of tension has been Kody's relationship with Robyn, Peyton's stepmother. Peyton has never shied away from expressing his frustrations about Robyn, which has only added to the strain in his relationship with Kody. As Kody's marriage to Robyn deepened, Peyton's opposition to her and her children grew stronger. And then there's Meri Brown, Robyn's now 20-year-old daughter, who has her own complicated history with the family. Meri's relationship with her dad, Kody, is just as tangled. Kody's relationship with his kids has never been great, and as the years have passed, it seems to have only gotten worse. The unraveling of his bond with his children, Maddie, Peyton, and Meri, paints a picture of a family that was once thought to be unbreakable but is now drifting apart little by little. Peyton, who was just 11 when his mother Christine married Kody, has never really gotten along with him. Since Christine left Kody in 2021, things have only soured further, and they remain estranged to this day. The tension within the Brown family reached a heartbreaking peak when 25-year-old Robyn Brown passed away in March 2024. Tragically, he was estranged from his father at the time of his death. Their troubled relationship can be traced back to the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, which only deepened the existing rifts among the Brown siblings. During that period, Kody severed ties with his older siblings, believing they weren't taking the virus seriously enough. This marked the start of a significant fracture in the family, leading to a series of painful separations. For the first time, the Browns found themselves spending holidays apart, a stark reminder of the growing divide. Before his passing, Garrison expressed his frustrations about his father's role in the family, saying, "You know what, Robyn, get him. All of us have grown up and no longer need a father figure." His words echoed the feelings of many of the older Brown children, who had been grappling with the reality that their father, once the heart of the family, was no longer the person they needed or wanted. Garrison wasn't the only son to feel this way. It seems like there are some real issues brewing with Kody and his growing distance from his family. His brother, 22-year-old Gabriel Brown, has faced his own long-standing struggles with their dad. These tensions really came to a head during the pandemic. Janelle, Gabriel's mom, opened up about the situation on Sister Wives Season 17, saying, "There's so much more going on for my boys than just this fight over who should follow the CO protocol." She added, "Even when we were living in Vegas, they always felt like Kody was spending most of his time, attention, and everything else at Robyn's house." By Season 19, things had escalated to the point where Gabriel and Kody were no longer on speaking terms. The gap had just become too wide. Meanwhile, in Season 19 of Sister Wives, Kody and Robyn, along with their 5 kids, whom they call their core family, are living together. However, Kody's relationships with most of his other children have become almost non-existent, except for those he shares with Robyn. It's a heartbreaking situation that paints a picture of a father who, despite having so many kids, seems to have lost touch with all but his youngest. Michael T. Brown, now 28, is the only adult child who still keeps in contact with Kody. Unlike most of his siblings, Michael has accepted Robyn as part of the family and is one of the few connections Kody still has. Their relationship is the last thread tying Kody to the family he once held together. But even that bond has been strained over the years due to tension, conflict, and emotional distance. Kody and Robyn's complicated history with their children and former spouses is a testament to the struggles they've faced, marked by a tumultuous journey. The hesitation and ongoing disputes really highlight the deep rifts within the once unified Brown family. In a significant turn of events for Sister Wives stars Meri and Janelle Brown, the two women have finally sold their shares of Coyote Pass, the property that was meant to be the site of their dream homes. Throughout the series, the Brown family had envisioned building a few houses on the land they shared in Flagstaff. However, as Kody's relationships with Christine, Janelle, and Meri unraveled, the dream of creating a family compound on Coyote Pass slipped further away. Season 19 of Sister Wives has been packed with challenges and land disputes, with Coyote Pass at the center of the drama. But now, according to reports from Reddit, including a screenshot shared by user SunnyJulie999 of a Zillow listing, the property has officially sold. This sale was private, so Zillow doesn't show it was ever listed, but it confirms that the deal was finalized on April 14th. For Meri and Janelle, this sale marks the end of a chapter, lifting a heavy burden off their shoulders. For both women, this sale represents a newfound freedom from the ties that have kept them bound to the family land. They can finally focus on their own futures. Meri plans to explore her identity and what she wants to do with her life in Utah, while Janelle can now pursue her dreams of moving to North Carolina. It's clear that both ladies are determined to carve out their own paths away from the Brown family, even if their journey as sister wives isn't quite over yet. However, Kody's journey to this sale was anything but straightforward, and his role in the process has been. It's been quite a journey for Meri and Janelle, hasn't it? Kody, who's been married to Meri for 32 years and Janelle for 30, hasn't exactly been the most supportive when it comes to selling their property. Despite his public tears and claims that he wanted a resolution for everyone, it's pretty clear he didn't really help Meri and Janelle in selling their shares of Coyote Pass. His reluctance and involvement only added more hurdles, even though he insisted he was working towards a solution. Now that the sale is finally wrapped up, Meri and Janelle can finally put Coyote Pass behind them. Both women, who have dedicated so much of their adult lives to the Brown family, are feeling a sense of financial freedom from Kody and Robyn. Janelle, in particular, has been open about her financial struggles on Sister Wives, and it's been a long, frustrating road for both her and Meri. But with the land now sold, Meri, who's been on the hunt for the perfect spot in Utah, and Janelle, who's settling into life in North Carolina, can finally move forward. Despite all the challenges and emotional toll it's taken, they're ready to embrace the next chapters of their lives. And hey, don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe.